Good afternoon, guys. Well, it's been a long time since I've been in the workshop and done a video, and I'm hoping today's video will save people a huge amount of time on some of the small saws which I'm going to do a video for today. Little Husqvarna 136, aka also known as the 36, 37, the 141, the 137, the 142. All almost identical footprint, or they are identical footprint, and a few people that I've supplied fuel line and filter kits to, I didn't realise how many people struggle so badly doing some what should be really straightforward jobs and take a small amount of time, and they get frustrated and a little rattle. That's one of the jobs we're going to do. They get really frustrated and burn a load of time just doing what should be really straightforward jobs. So then you start to realise that perhaps some of the jobs, unless somebody shows you maybe some, not tricks, but maybe some techniques which you just haven't thought of to save so much time. So perhaps we'll kind of do a workshop 101, just some real basic tasks on some of the small engines, and maybe later on we can move on to some of the bigger engines. Perhaps we should look at cutting threads as well, because a number of people have asked me about that on some old engines and when the threads go on their heads, etc. So anyway, back to this girl then. Little Husky, late 90s saw, follow on from the 36. This one's the 136, one of mine. Beautiful saw, and she has just developed that rattle in the tank where the fuel filter, just after a period of time, so probably 20-25 years old, this girl, fuel filter's decided to break off. So I thought it's the perfect time to show people how to thread these little baby fuel pipes through without getting too frustrated, the tools you're going to use, and a load of you are going to be second nature and you're going to be just thinking, I know how to do that. Absolutely. And also one other task which some people, again, they should be straightforward with the right tool, which is this girl has always had the back left hand side near the fuel tank has always been pressed up tight to the top of the left hand crankcase, which means either the back AV mount is snapped or deflected. And I've seen that before where you get a bent handle and it's just spent a long time and then the AV mounts just need to be changed. So we're going to change an AV mount. So I have done all the basic disassembly. So I've got to start off by saying, if you're doing the fuel pipe on this engine, for me personally, do not struggle trying to do it with the tank still on the body of the saw. It's just a recipe for complete frustration. And to take apart this engine is 5 minutes. It's literally 5 minutes. It's going to be remove the air filter, a couple of screws, 2 little M10 nuts, take the nuts off, take the studs out, holding the carburetor on, take off the throttle linkage, disconnect the fuel pipe, disconnect the choke lever, the carburetor's off. Once the carburetor's off, it's going to be 4 screws for the side cover, 2 holding the cover, and then 2 are actually for the AV mount on that side. Chain catcher at the front, screw out, that's the other AV mount, and you're ready to go. So I've removed them, but I've left in the fuel pipe. Okay, and obviously, so things to do straight away: drain the tank straight away, drain the oil one as well, just because you don't want to get filthy dirty, and it's so nice just to work clean. So I presume, yeah, okay, so here she is then, snapped off. This micro bore pipe is really prone to going hard after a number of years, so okay, we should be doing that. So with the screws out, it will literally separate. Okay, this is how it's going to look. So this is one of my show 136s, and never, she doesn't get cut with. Absolutely pristine, just pristine. So let's put the engine there. Okay, so, oh, interesting, isn't it? I don't know how clear that is. You can see the AV mount on this side nicely centered. And look at this one, it's really low down, so not broken, but just a deformed AV mount. So we're going to take care of that as well. Right. Tools. Okay, AV mounts. So Husqvarna make a really nice set of, they're called U-spanners, and they're literally two vertical parallel prongs which are the correct width to go down over these round AV mounts with just these crescents or semicircular shapes cut in, and then the legs engage and then let you undo it safely. So typically people, if they don't have the tools, they'll use long nose, grip the top, and then they'll turn them around. But what tends to happen is if they're already really nearly broken off, the rubber will just twist off and you'll be left with the stud in the bottom, and then it's a real pain. So you can buy the genuine tools from Husqvarna, which is a great thing to do, or my preference was, after seeing the genuine ones, was to make my own, and I prefer mine to the genuine Husqvarna ones. So what did I do for that? And the great thing is, because there's three different sizes, predominantly three different sizes, two different widths, depending on the mounts you buy, you can get them in 2 or 3 different size widths, but predominantly a large and a small, and 2 or 3 different heights. So what I ended up doing is buying some long-nosed pliers. You'll see that the jewels will be flush fit all the way down, and then I have ground the points to a nice width which will sit lovely in the crescents and let me give a positive turn. And then when you've actually ground this to the right size, you put them on your mount and then put each individual leg of the nose of the pliers into the vise and bend them so that when they're actually situated in the AV mount, they are then parallel with each other. And so this way you can grip the AV mount top to bottom. So, and the beauty is, instead of having to have 3 U-type spanners for, so the 61s have 2 slightly larger mounts, 22mm approximately, and then the 17mm. And they are, what are they? About 18mm high. So you have 2 different sizes there, and then the 36s use 4 of the smaller mounts. But on models like the 181, the 281, the 288, those mounts are taller. So the great thing is with these, you can end up making one spanner and it does all of them. So that's been our first tool. So let's see how we get on removing this mount. Cool, that's tight. Okay. And for this very reason, this is why you need to grip the very lower edge of the AV mount, because if you don't grip it, the chances are that's going to snap off inside. Okay. And though, you know, a lot of the time you might be able to use ordinary pliers and extract it with no trouble, but this will save so much time if you're working on engines just even periodically. Wow, look how bent this AV mount is compared to the new one. Look at that, it's completely twisted over in time. Right. So just with the modification of one tool, we are going to save, wow, a lot of frustrated time trying to fit this mount. So just screw it in, finger tight, pliers on. Always remembering these are coarse threaded. You'll feel it when it just pinches up tight. That's it. It's not going to rattle undone. It's obviously captive and held in with a metric nut this side. Coarse thread, screwing into the plastic, goes into the pre-cut thread that's already there. AV mount done. It's like a 10-second job. Okay, where people get really frustrated. This fuel pipe. Are they 0.14 of an inch? I think they are. Okay, pull out the old pipe. They really get really brittle and really hard. This one you'll see is started to go in orangey yellow and just discolor and just broken off the, okay, just broken off there. Right, our friends today will be, we're going to have a sharp Stanley knife, or just the blade, really important. We're going to have a pair of long nose pliers, and the heat gun's going to be our friend. If you don't have a heat gun, it's not 100% necessary. Use a hairdryer, but you'll see what it's for. It just facilitates the last part of the job, and a tiny bit of 3-in-1 oil. And this will make this job, I hope, really, really straightforward. So when people really struggle with this job, they do something which is a real no-no. They look at this tiny hole in the top. So you can imagine trying to thread this through this slightly enlarged hole through the top of the crankcase, trying to thread this through. Just don't punish yourself. Take it apart, have it in your hand, have it well lit. Okay. They struggle and struggle and struggle to put the correct length pipe through, or non-correct length pipe. Not sure if it's the right size. Struggle, struggle, struggle. End up drilling out and putting the wrong size fuel pipe in. Definitely don't do that. And not just because you would think it would be okay, but what people forget is these little WT carburetors, the pump capacity is only so much, and you put bigger bore pipe in and it cannot prime as easily, and it's just all wrong. So that's why they're configured for this size pipe. Okay, you've got the correct size pipe, and always handy to have a ruler handy, because I'll show you what we're going to do afterwards. If you know that you need approximately 130 to 140 mil of pipe from the top, right then, how do we fit this without absolutely killing ourselves with frustration? So the ends are cut off square. Get your Stanley knife or your blade. Let's put the glasses on, and we're going to do a couple of tiny cuts, and it'll all make sense. So you're going to take off the tiniest slither, roughly 45-degree angle, 60-degree angle. It's all okay, it'll make sense in a minute. Okay. Just take off a tiny slither, and you end up with this little point. Hope that's clear, guys, on the camera. Just going to give yourself a little lead in, because trying to get a squared off butted joint pipe through a really tight hole is a tough job. And so this is going to give us a lead in, and oil, a really light, low viscosity oil. You're just going to put a tiny bit on the tube, just a tiny bit. You cannot believe how much this will actually help. So the pipes I've bought for the Huskies, I sell the kits, because so many people end up buying the wrong ones. Tiny bit of oil on the hole where it's going in. Obviously this is an interference fit, so it's bound to be snug so the fuel can't come out, and then you definitely don't want to drill it though. Okay. Feed in gently. So already, the pipe's already in, just by cutting that like little arrowhead on the front. And then what you can do, you can just grip it near the entrance, give it a pinch and turn. Pinch, turn and push. And this makes a job which some people, wow, some people spend so long, get so frustrated doing this job. If you're struggling to grip it with your hands because it's oily, just pinch the pliers, and it's literally, it's pinching the fuel pipe about 2 to 3 millimeters from the opening, twisting and pushing in. You'll feel it just go in. When you've done it 3 or 4 times, That means you're going to have a 10mm tail inside the tank. Grab your long nose pliers. Don't like this getting old, guys. Got to use glasses for this type of work now. And then when you've got the pipe, just assist it, gently pull down and push on the pipe at the same time. Then take another grip on the pipe at the top, just keep him pulling. Always when you're pulling the pipes, this is plastic, you might have some sharp edges, always pull vertically if you can. So we're just going to pull it, grip, pull. Now, I know for the Huskies you need about 140mm. Okay, so I know it's going to be perfect and we can mod it if we need to. Grab a pick. There's our fuel pipe, and so the pipes I have they're oversized by about 15mm for this very reason. Cut the point. Cut back off square again, and then because this pipe is so small and it can be so difficult to get the fuel pipe over this little baby ridge or nipple where the fuel filter connects, and you want it to grip really, really well. Hairdryer or heat gun, just leave that there. Not too hot because it gets really, really flexible quick. Just enough to warm it to soften it. Grab the filter. And while it's still warm, it will just go over the raised nipple which grips the pipe, give you a perfect fit. Back in. There you go. That's the job done. So where people struggle with that job for so long, it can be, I don't know how long we've been doing it. It's literally, it should be stripping the engine down, getting down to the tank, and then fitting it. 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute job. So oil is incredibly important. This pipe, or otherwise it will grip the plastic because there's no air gap. It will just sit on it and just grip with all its might. Put a bit of oil on, feed it from the top, pliers underneath, you're good to go. So AV mounts, modified, long nose pliers, grind them to width, bend the jaw so that they're perpendicular, parallel, fit nicely around the AV mount, and you've made yourself a spectacular AV tool for all Husqvarna saws that use this style of AV mount. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope that's useful. There we go. We're going to call that Workshop 101. That's so for the 36, 37, the 137s, 141s, 142s, same on all of them. That's how simple that job should be. Stay safe, guys. More videos soon.